All right, so if you were here last week, Brad spun the stool of knowledge and it landed on technology. There it is. The
This very
stool
leg.
itself, the one with the big knot. I know it well. All right, now I know if you're lying or not when you spin it at the end of today's episode.
Yeah.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about ScreenFlow. Brad, you've been using it for ages, and I've just dabbled recently. And the reason why we're talking about it today is because we're deep in ScreenFlow at the moment. We're preparing for the ASME conference, or ASME, coming up at the end of the month, and submissions are due any moment now. So we think it's worth talking about because it's a good mix of easy to use, but also enough tools to get the job done to a quite a high quality that's resemblant of any other great video editing software out there. And the reason why it's important to know as a teacher is because we are making virtual resources all the time now. It's the modern world where people learn from video, and video is king. And so we need to know how to cut video, edit, and use some show business in the way we deliver content. So, Brad, when did you first start? I don't even know the answer to this.
Well,
When did you first start with ScreenFlow?
well, I think let's go back. We have to go to the bookshelf.
Whoa.
So this is in addition to the stool of knowledge. I have the shelf of books, and I have to put my head out so we can focus on that.
Yeah.
Bergman and Sams.
Nice, man.
Jonathan Bergman, Aaron Sams. This book changed everything. I had it on pre-order because I couldn't wait to hear. I think it was 2012, and so I'd been making video resources for my classroom, and I heard about flipping, and I thought, all right, I want to be on that. So I think I got the first book, Pete, in the whole
Wow.
world. And check it out, nice and thin. And
Yeah.
you can smash it out. So the interesting thing I started using video instruction as soon as I was able to upload something to YouTube back in whenever that became a thing.
Yeah.
Just seemed to me that there's only one of us and there's lots of them. So what do you
Hmm.
do when 30 students ask you a different question at the same time? And so Video Brad came into being, and was later on was joined by Video Pete. And I think something that was massively important was when the iPhone added a video camera, and then the YouTube upload app. I think it was called YouTube Capture.
Yeah.
So, and I
Nice.
think Pete, I think we were onto it in 2013 when we started working together. That we were YouTube Capture on your phone allowed you to send resources direct to YouTube. Bam,
Yeah. I
at
believe
the
it's an
speed
iPad
of thought.
2. iPad
Hmm.
2. I'd be sitting there filming you do some instrument tutorials. And we just go
Yeah.
bam. And then students would walk in about 10 seconds later and do the tutorial.
So I think again, so TPAC Tuesday, right? It's an, we have to go back to 19. We have to go back to the 80s with me learning to play the bass guitar in regional New South Wales via Starlix videos, VHS cassettes that I don't know cost $1 million,
Hmm.
and there was a star like um, Stu Ham, the bassist with Joe Satriani, or
Yeah.
Lewis Johnson, the bassist with Michael Jackson, or others would show you their licks. And so that's a big part of, Jaco Pastorius, who's in the middle book over there, made a video with Jerry Drummott, the rhythm and blues legend. And I could sit in my own home with the VCR. I think we're onto a wireless remote by then, and just go, what did he do then? What did he do then?
Yeah.
So, it just makes sense to me as a popular musician. Not that I'm popular, but a person who comes from the popular music tradition, was just lying around, lying in bed at night like I do, going, universe, be great if the kids could have VHS cassettes of their own, and every time they needed to know something, they could just pop a VHS cassette in. And of course, then the internet was invented. Pretty cool, hey?
Mm.
But I think we get to a point pretty quickly where just like the textbook doesn't cut the mustard for a thinking musician teacher, when you go page 3 of the textbook, it's a bit of a detour. I don't really think about music that way. I think I need to jump to page 6, and plus there's a spot missing in the textbook. They don't even talk about that thing that's really important in our context. So just as back in the day, music educators would go to the photocopy room and try to photocopy a whole bunch of resources, I think it becomes pretty clear pretty early, just with video resources, that there's some really good ones, but they need to be contextualized and chopped up and stuff. And from time to time, you got to make your own, which is where the flipped classroom comes in.
Yeah.
And remember, Pete, we just thought, so the flipped classroom idea, that book by Bergman and Sams, I would imagine, is available as a digital copy these days. It's called Flip Your Classroom, Bergman and Sams. So they say...
we can put a link below for people to access that.
So remember, they say you do the homework at school and you do the schoolwork at home. And that's where they lost us. And we went, nobody wants to do anything at home that a teacher says you have to do. And so you recall
particularly for music, like you got so much practice to do anyway, so no time for anything else.
Yeah. And so for us, we really want our musicians to be untethered, to get on with it when they get home and not be thinking about, oh, what was that thing I had to do? And so that the concept of in-flipping for us, where the video resource comes into the classroom and you do the homework and the classwork in the class, and then you do whatever the heck you're inspired to do when you're at home. And so because we're making music at the speed of sound, we can be much more productive in the classroom because there's not all of that waiting that goes on in a traditional classroom. So you can actually get the classwork and what in a traditional classroom would be set for homework done in class. So I think that's the thing. So thinking about the affordances then of YouTube, the affordances of the iPhone or the iPad 2, I think it's just a no-brainer, isn't it? Especially if you come from a tradition like me, where if you want to learn something, you buy a VHS video and fast forward and rewind it and pause it as many times as it takes over many years. So this is our TPAC Tuesday. It's educators on the lookout for, YouTube's been invented. That's a place to put videos so that you don't have to have video cassettes anymore. Whoa, the iPhone's been invented. That's really cool. And then Pete, we haven't talked much about friction on this on TPAC Tuesdays, but the friction point then back in the day was you would record video in your video cassette recording camera, then you had to take that home, put it in the video cassette, and and there was hours and hours of mucking around. And so YouTube... Go on.
I was just thinking, that's why ScreenFlow is attractive for me. Is like this week I've been recording on my phone direct as an integration, so from Camo, which gets my camera from the iPhone direct into ScreenFlow, and then it's all synced up and I can just start editing right away. There's no like SD cards or anything like that, and just the fact that ScreenFlow is keeping up to date with the latest integrations and stuff is kind of, maybe we could start there, is like why ScreenFlow over say iMovie. People might have access to Premiere Pro or Final Cut or other video editing. Why did you, so after that history of like VHS and like praying to the video gods of please bring me something to make this less burdensome on me and the students and the way they're learning, why ScreenFlow in that moment?
Kind of comes at a point, doesn't it? Well, it came at a point when we started to want people to see what was on our screens. And so I think it's a convergence of the VHS bass guitar instructional and the stuff that people used to shine up on the screen as a projection. But then we started to really want to say, oh, let me just show you my screen. And so we know back in the day, teachers would shine screens onto projectors and smartboards and all of that. But then I think a little while ago we thought, well, hang on, so that's still broadcasting. So we really want to say to students, hey, students, look at my screen. And I think as music becomes as more and more screen-based, where we're using digital audio workstations, there's just a lot of software's become a big part of being a musician. So I think it essentially just comes from that driving thing of, hey, check this out on my computer, or hey, check this out on my iPad.
You mentioned bringing sort of other third-party resources and contextualizing it. I think that's where showing your screen comes in, because you got all these different. It's the, like you said, the old, I'm just going to photocopy that, and then it's like, boom, here's my screen, and it's contextualized to whatever learning management system they might be using or program, like you're saying. So with the time left, how about we just go through some stuff on ScreenFlow?
Yeah.
And we've been chatting through stuff I've been learning over the last 24 hours, things like call-outs and actions and various things that make it easier to follow along on a video for a student. So and you've got a wealth of knowledge, and so maybe as this is Technology Day, we could talk some actual slick things people can do with their tutorials using ScreenFlow.
Yeah. Cool. So remember, we're trying to solve problems and reduce friction. So I think, and Pete, you asked, it was a really great question, why not iMovie and why not Premiere Pro, etc. So they're video editors. And so if you're shooting video and you want to edit video, then they make a lot of sense. They also make less sense in screencasting, where you actually want to capture what's on your screen. So that would be the first thing to say that, well, you have to capture your screen. The second thing that people have problems with is often Apple users will go, oh, I can capture my screen with QuickTime. But then there's problems with sound with QuickTime. And then the next thing is that ScreenFlow, if you just go Command-Shift-2, you just start your recording, which is pretty cool. So let's have a look at this. Let me just show you. This is a problem solver. So if I want to make, oh wow, I've just been recording for a really long time, by the way.
That's awesome. We're going to back up recording.
Isn't that cool? Whoops. So have a look at this. So you get a little ScreenFlow thing up the top, and just check this out. This is really powerful. So Pete, we were talking about SD cards and ingest. So this is ingesting. So I can just set up my recording to say record from any. Look at these sources. Record that from it. So essentially, this is the idea. All right, I'm going to record a screen. I'm going to record a camera.
Yeah.
I'm going to record some sound from my microphone, and then I'm going to record something on my computer as well. And that could be, and then you might think, oh, and I'd like them to be able to, oh, there's more. Check it out. There's more. And then you might think, oh yeah, I'd really like to show them how this fits on the iPad, and how the iPad and the iPhone and the computer work together. And you can just go record all of those, please. Bam. And then it just jumps down here onto your timeline for you.
Yeah.
And hey presto, off you go. So I think, Pete, if it didn't do anything other than allow you to just ingest a million sources all at once, I think that'd be pretty cool.
That's true.
But then, so the other reason you would use
Can I just pause you there? Sorry to cut you off, but we get the students to do that too, which is a very important point. So little year 7s can use this program, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
They can open up Command-Shift-2 and they do their musicology screen recordings, and bam, you can export it straight to Google Drive or YouTube or whatever as well.
Yep. So let me show you, we're working on this presentation called It's All About the Gig. And remember a couple of TPAC Tuesdays ago, we talked to you about Dua Lipa and
Mm-hmm.
how vibed we were about what was going on in GarageBand. Well, when we sat down to record this presentation for the ASME conference, I just thought, well, let's have a look at. Can you see there, Pete? There's Dua Lipa,
Yeah.
and so I just dropped her down on the timeline and said, I just want us to look like Dua Lipa, and then I did. I just replaced. So I came here and I got her lined up on our timeline, and I got that lovely lass over here, and I put them there, and then I just replaced. Unfortunately, it's kind of probably better the other way around because they're so nice and everything. But then check this out. I just replaced them, and I think we talk to beginning teachers and teachers in service all the time about it shouldn't be worse when students interact with music classroom education resources. It shouldn't be worse than stuff they're interacting with on YouTube. So just being inspired by that Apple design so that we could go, all right, well, if that's what Dua Lipa's doing, then perhaps I'll just grab it. Perhaps we could do something like that. So we did like they did. Check this out. Bam.
Yes,
There we
Brad.
are. I'm just there, pretending I'm that nice lass who's getting all bubbly and everything. And so just making it look like the Apple people did. There's me.
Yeah.
And then doing little transitions and stuff so that people don't get fatigued. And watch this. Pete getting in. There's Pete coming down to the bottom so that we can tell stories about the HSC and stuff. There we are, talking about students' ability to manage their own learning. So
Huge.
and then I think the last thing I would say about why would you use, not just ScreenFlow, by the way, because we're not yet, hello ScreenFlow, completely open to any sort of commercial agreements, aren't we, Pete? We're for hire. Just putting it out there.
We're able to be influenced.
Yeah, ScreenFlow, just think about, like I'm on ScreenFlow 9 and I've been with you since the beginning. Just think about how much money I've given you. And I do, because I love it. It's really cool software. It's M1 Mac compatible. So, but, so the I guess the affordance is in the title, isn't it? ScreenFlow. And then you've got Screencast-O-Matic. And then there's the other one from, there's Camtasia
Yes.
as well. And Katie Wardrobe, by the way, at midnightmusic.com.au, long-time friend of ours, friend of the program, does lots of great things on how to capture screens as well. She did a podcast a little while ago about an app called Loom, Screencastify, did I say that? And Screencast-O-Matic. And some of these, Pete's coming back to what we were talking about. Our next step with our students was to get them to use an LMS integrated screencasting app, which I think was either Screencast-O-Matic or one of those. But have a look. If you're on Canvas or Google Classroom, there are screencasting tools that integrate with your LMS, which is really awesome because you can get your students making these resources and uploading them to your LMS seamlessly. It's pretty sick.
Yeah. When you mentioned being inspired by YouTube, I think that's quite important. It's something that I've been thinking about recently is things like thumbnails, getting students to click on the video, step one. I was like, oh man, that's really interesting. We just go, you must do this video. But it's like, oh, you can incentivize them by making a nice thumbnail. And then the other thing is having quick transitions and making it snappy. So making your edits. And then also something that you introduced me to, Brad, was just drawing out the text. Can you show us maybe an example of how you do something like that? So say if you did have a set of instructions, you could just zoom in the key part that you'd like to highlight for them. And just so all these little things, that we could brush over, but they actually do matter.
Yeah. So Al, my wife and I watched loads and loads. We used to love Media Watch on the ABC back in the
Mm.
day,
Yeah.
and we used to blow our minds when they'd read the newspaper and the text would jump out. So look at that. Text jumps out and then highlights. Kapow.
Yeah, man. Come on.
Uh, and you can pop that on the timeline so that it happens as to direct the attention. And there's that whole cognitive load theory that says if you're going to say it, don't write it on the screen. If you're going to write it on the screen, don't say it, because we get cognitive overload if you have both of those things going on at the same time. Thank you, Dr. James Humberstone, for hipping me on to that. He does a great cognitive load and PowerPoint presentation. So the idea then is if you're going to put text on the screen, you just want to direct the reader to emphasize what you're saying rather than detract what you're saying. And that's what shows like, well, all of the news shows and shows like Media Watch do. I think it's really great if you want to get a great model. The Planet America on the ABC do really great blow up and highlighting of text. I
Nice.
was quite inspired by them just the other day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
pulling stuff out like that and having some using Keynote to help you or PowerPoint to help you with stuff. Here's Dave and Marissa, and we just have them. I wonder if it'll show. Elliot and Silverman remind us that we just have them zooming in for fun as well, just a little
Mm.
bit of fun.
Yeah.
So and see, oh, even things like that, just some call outs to just
Yeah.
support what you're saying. And see down the bottom, like as we go along the timeline, you can see that there's just lots and lots of stuff coming in down the bottom, and so we're just continually blowing up big to say something and then getting out of the way and highlighting the text as well.
Yeah.
So that's but I guess that's something that you can do in lots of apps. But if we look over here, we'll just finish up here. So this is my bin of all of the assets, just like every other app. But something that we can do that's really cool here is we can come here, well, so that we can add motion to video, which you can do in other apps. So let's just here I can go. Oh, I just need another asset there. Bam, add screen recording. It just drops it. Bam, straight there on the timeline. Really cool. But these the next couple, the call out, so that you can highlight what your mouse is. So particularly now, if you want to do how-to videos, so that you don't spend your time in class going, all right, we're all going to record something in GarageBand, so I'll just get you all to look at my computer together. We can
Click
do all of
here
that
and
much more.
tap there and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
So by adding these call outs to our timeline, which I won't now because it's going to blow up our presentation and I'm a bit scared, we can do mouse clicks and blow up windows and all of that stuff. By the way, Apple has a YouTube channel where they do how to use Apple stuff, and they're so good. They're so much better than the stuff that I see around education. Really is aspirational for us, I think. So Pete and I watch the Apple channel all the time for inspiration. So they do things like, if we look at this window zooms up, background dims. So the way they're doing that is with an app like ScreenFlow, which just when you add these callouts, you can say, can you please, well, if I do, can you please highlight the mouse cursor? And can you zoom up the window? Can you give me a border? Can you blur the background? Bam, and it just does all of that. And all of a sudden, the student's attention is directed exactly where you want it to be. These are touch callouts, so things that when you're doing mobile device presentations, you can have finger taps and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
really, really importantly, I think for us, annotations, if you want to start drawing on the screen. And you get text in other apps, so I don't think there's anything particularly groundbreaking about that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think the key here is it's really quick, like, but
mhm.
doesn't look crap. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of tools have a trade-off between quick and quality, and I feel like ScreenFlow is a good mix. Like, you can quickly make highlights and callouts and transitions, animations, all in that little panel there. You don't have to go searching. It's like in front of your eyes, very intuitive. So
Yep.
I think it's pretty exciting that um, we're currently getting better at it. It's exciting for us, and it'd be great, yeah, if other people got on board too. And we saw other educators starting to look at YouTube, starting to look at Apple, and being inspired by the industry and bringing that into the classroom. That's the dream.
That's the dream.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we've got time for today. If you're interested in learning how we've done this or seeing how we've used the program while actually learning more about us as gig-based learning, then we are actually presenting it at ASME at the end of the month. So you can check out the video that you saw on Brad's screen if you sign up to that conference, or if you're going, make sure you check it out. And the other thing is that we go through all of this stuff in our training. So if you're interested in that, check out our website down below. And Brad, the last thing that we'd like to do is spin the wheel,
Oh yeah.
sorry, the stool of
Back
knowledge.
to, back to the stool of knowledge.
What is it going to be? Technology, pedagogy, or
Oh my
content
gosh!
knowledge?
Can you see from there?
It's definitely not technology.
No, it's one of the others. And- yes, can you see it?
I can't. Sorry, it's a bit grainy. You're gonna have to tell me, Brad.
Yeah, I think it's pedagogy, Pete.
Whoa! Wouldn't have picked it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
what
well,
I've-
the
yeah,
Stool of Knowledge has spoken for next
Yeah.
week.
I think ignore at our peril.
All right, guys. Have a nice day. We'll see you next time.